Royal Academy of Sciences International Trust for Women is celebrating its 8th International Day for Women and Girls in Science at United Nations Headquarters, New York. On this occasion, one of the panels discussed space community ideas for sustainable development. As part of this panel, Guru Sowle, President Indus International Research Foundation Americas, presented an overview of space economy.
Sowle. He will tell us that all this is interlinked with economy. We have to discuss this in the context of the not only development goals, but also the lives of people, every single person that is affected by this research that we're doing, and by the relevance of space in this research. So. Dr. Kursat, he is a founding board member and president of I.D.E.A.S International Research Foundation. Tell us, why do people want to keep investing in space, put money in space? Thank you.
Your Excellency, thank you so much. Thank you, RASIT, Her Royal Highness Ms. Hashmite, fellow panelists, and thanks to Priya Samant for bringing me here. It was my childhood dream to be in UN, and it came true today. And thanks everyone. So we just heard about water as a very precious resource, and now we'll talk about money, which is perhaps equally precious, or perhaps more. Right? But before we get into the economy, and before I answer the questions from Her Excellency, I'd like to compliment all women in this hall today, and all women who are watching us live from all parts of the world. Can we, with your permission, Your Excellency, take a moment, give a standing ovation to all women who have really made space happen and science happen for us. I really wish there were more women. And my motivation for space started with my wife, Padma Rao. She's right here. And she's a space scientist, and she's a space scientist at home, and she teaches me space. So let's transcend to economy in the interest of time. So how different is space economy? And when it comes to economy, we think about money, profit, loss, net worth, GDP, valuations, and so on and so forth. But the challenge here is to really look at where space has taken us in terms of economy. There is a significant difference. Traditional economy is built traditionally, as we all know, and there is a certain degree of momentum in traditional economy. There are challenges. We have cycles of ups and downs in capital markets, in private ventures, etc., and that is the same which is applicable to space ventures as well. But space economy stands out from different perspectives. Now, when you set up a new company or a new economy, or let's say we getting into green economy or blue economy or circular economy, as we heard from previous speakers, what is the one point that comes to our mind? That is demand, right? So if I start a business, I want to make sure there's demand. And luckily, in space, it's not about demand, it's a supply chain problem. And we heard some of the speakers talking about supply chain challenges in other panels. So supply chain is a real challenge for space economy. There's enough demand. I think there is enough satellites going into space. There's a greater need for satellites, greater need for launch vehicles, and so on and so forth. And this can't happen without collaboration, which is a theme which cutting across all panels today in this forum. Collaboration between private sector, public sector, collaboration between international agencies, different governments, and collaboration between aerospace agencies and non-aerospace agencies. can you think of a cosmetics company in space collaborating with SpaceX, for example? And that's going to happen. And that is where the footprints of space economy is going. So there's a different, trend of collaborations that is setting in, and that paradigm shift, I think, is extremely important. Another important change that we see in space economy is also about collaboration between the big boys of space, like NASA and SpaceX and other large firms that have already taken the lead in space economy, and the small sector. And why do we think startups have a big role to play here? It's because of cost. So now we get into the fundamentals of economy. Right? Launch vehicles, when they started, the cost of launching a low Earth orbit vehicle was about $65,000 per kilogram. And today it is $1,500 per kilogram. So we have scaled down 95%. Credit doesn't go to economists, doesn't go to financial experts like me. It goes to you scientists. I think science has made it happen. Science is leading the way for space economy, and it's not the other way around. Now, coming to think of cost, India launched a successful mission to Mars, and they succeeded first time. The cost of Mars mission to India was $74 million, much less than $100 million that was spent in producing Hollywood movie Gravity. And this is a quote from Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So here the point is, there are new benchmarks for cost. There are new benchmarks for economics, particularly with respect to space economy, because space economy is going to be focused, it is technology-led. It's not going to be an all-encompassing economy like we have seen in the last 200 years. This is going to be all about technology, sustainability, and environmental impact. So we need to get extremely clinical about how we are building a cost sheet for every space project, whether it's launch vehicles, whether it's satellites, whether it's drones, or whether it's setting up manufacturing firms in space for semiconductor or cosmetics or whatever it may be. So cost is a key driver here. And once we get to that cost levels, industry becomes viable. So today, at the current cost level, the valuation of space economy is about $459 billion. And this is from a report from non-profit space agency. And what is the future in the next 10 to 15 years? So in any investment pitch people make, they talk about, okay, we'll be a $1 billion company in 2 to 3 years, right? So space industry is projected to be a $1 trillion industry by 2040. And so that is the future, that's the motivation for investors, Your Excellency, and capital markets, NASDAQ, NYSE, all the large firms like JP Morgan, BlackRock, MFS, they all have aerospace funds. Right? It is not just for the big companies. I think there's another pattern in startup ecosystem that's forming. There's a cluster concept. So I know of one company which is coming from India. They're bringing hundreds of aerospace companies, small and medium, to the US, and they're creating clusters in Virginia, Utah, etc. And they're doing that to coexist with Boeings and Lockheed Martins of the world, so that the supply chain challenge is addressed in a cost-effective manner. So I think today collaboration is not a choice. It's not a luxury. It's a must. So we got to get collaborative at all levels, and we also need to make sure that we don't weaponize space, both for the sake of science as well as for the sake of economy. And the geopolitical dynamics we are seeing in the world today, we need to somehow insulate space with that. And I think science is already playing a huge role in that. And that's pretty much a capsule of where this economy is going. My message to the young girls, if they're in that, right? So my message is, it's a huge opportunity from a career standpoint. If there are people in this room or outside this room wanting to start up space ventures, I think it's a great time because most of the investors, big, small, medium, even retail investors, for example, are looking for investments in space. And there are people going and buying. I'm not making an investment recommendation, but I'm just giving you a general trend here. So I think space is welcoming, and thanks to all the women and girls again. Thank you so much.
The question arises, do we need to leave Earth to save her? Answer is yes. Our next destination is space in outer space, and space economy is integrated with this journey, space and beyond. Thank you.